Hi everyone, welcome to Babies with Knives. I'm one of your hosts, Alice Pang, and below me is Brandon Powers.
I'm the guy with the props.
Today we're going to be doing a character creation demonstration of LexOccultum, as Brandon showed you the book of, and we have a picture of it to the side. But before we get started, we have a tiny bit of bookkeeping we need to do. Unfortunately, our actual play for LexOccultum is going to be delayed slightly. We don't have an exact date, but we will be starting our next feature month ahead of time, and in the meantime, we will get our LexOccultum played. The reason for this is one of our players ended up in an unfortunate car accident, so we're going to wait for him to recover. We are not going to...
He's doing well, he says, but yes.
We are not going to reschedule and replace him or play without him. We are going to see about trying to make sure that he's okay. If it starts taking too long, we'll reevaluate. But it should be no more than 1 or 2 weeks delayed, so our apologies. But let's get to work on character creation.
Awesome. So go ahead.
First off, I do want to show you guys the beautiful character sheet that you can get for LexOccultum on drive-thru. It's free to download, and I will make sure to have a link below in the description. And the one reason I'm not going to be using it today is because it is not form fillable, and I'm going to be using a calculator spreadsheet that Brandon created. And I'll make sure to make that available on our Discord, and it will also be available on the Riot Minds official Discord.
I also think in a game like this, it's not a complicated calculator, but it's going to make it a lot easier to get through.
So now we're going to show you the Excel sheet that Brandon made, and this is where I'm going to be building my character, and I'll transfer it to a character sheet later. So Brandon, what do you think you're going to be making today? Or should I go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, so since we're going to be making these characters for the actual play that's coming up, I think that I'm going to be playing a minor noble. I had a kind of an idea for it, and so let me just pull up what I thought about. I haven't built it yet, but I was thinking that I was going to be this minor noble woman from Britain, and she was married into it. She was born into a wealthy aristocratic family, a mercantile family, and and she was the youngest of them. And her parents ended up marrying her off to a family that took a liking to her. The nobleman that took a liking to her was too old to marry her or whatever, for one reason or not other. And so married her off to his nephew. And she hated the nephew. She considered him a bore of a man, and both a B-O-A-R and a B-O-R-E. And she also did not like her in-laws and such like that, including the uncle that married her into the family became very inappropriate with her. So when her husband went on a trip and mysteriously never came back, she took her money and her wealth and she fled to France. So that's the theory that I was going with to start with. And I had jotted that down a little bit ago.
Now, what kind of stuff are you thinking about doing good with type stuff?
So the thing about the mysterious disappearance of her late husband was that I was thinking that he was kind of on that fringe science, edge of the world kind of person, and so I was looking at the fact that the one good thing about her marrying into the family that she did was that she got to learn about some of the stuff, and it allowed her exposure to sciences and allowed her exposure to things that go bump in the night. So I was thinking of a somewhat Lady Mechanica kind of character where I am primarily science, but I utilize that science to deal with what goes bump in the night, to deal with the occult and the supernatural and the strange.
Well, and also remember that, a lot of our steps forward in science that lead into our current understanding, that's a lot of it's going to have happened more in the 1800s rather than the 1700s, Darwin and such like that. And so the lines for that aren't necessarily that solidified. It's a hard thing going to a game like this. Like if you go to D&D and there's not that science aspect, you're like, oh, it's just magic. But in a game like this, to try and put yourself into that world and think about things in the same fashion that they would have is hard.
Absolutely. What about
So
you?
Alice and I did have a little brief talk about, what kind of characters, because we were needing to get ready for an actual play, which then got delayed. And so I was thinking about playing a down on its luck soldier that has realized that society doesn't care for him, and so he doesn't really care for society anymore.
Ooh.
And so after working as a soldier for a time, he has left that and is much more of a ne'er-do-well, pickpocket, street thug kind of guy. That knows his way around bad neighborhoods and knows about some of those things that go bump in the night. Since Alice and I were talking about this, I was seeing that, maybe after she came here, that he has fallen into her employ. She might not necessarily agree so much with some of his methods, but that he's able to help keep her safe as she is looking into all this fringe science and mysticism going forward.
And the another influence other than Lady Mechanica and obviously the 1700s and such like that was, Fringe, the TV show that the mad scientist, and there's some interesting history in that TV show that kind of hits on some of the aspects too. So that's what I'm looking at. Cool.
So, right here in our LexOccultum Alter Ego book, we have the character creation steps. Decide the traits of the character, which are like stats in D&D. Decide the class of the character, which is going to provide us some bonus points. Choose what archetype. Oh, no, I am sorry. Class is like, are you a noble? Are you lower class? You get middle class for free. Other things cost points.
Well,
then choose an archetype.
If we go lower class, below middle class, we'll get points back. If we go above middle class, we will have to spend points.
Yeah, choose what archetype you're going for, which is kind of like class. You get some bonus points for that, but it's more just a source of bonus points and supposed to be a source of inspiration for you. By skill values and specialties, that's where you're going to spend the bulk of your character creation time. Choose a power sphere of the character, which it'll go real quick. Calculate secondary traits for the character, and then your history, your background, your motivations, and finally equipping the character, which we generally don't try to count coppers when we're doing character creations here on Babies with Knives.
Yep.
So first thing, Alice, traits. What are you thinking?
Well, first thing I did was put in the fact that we have 800 points to start. The spreadsheet calculates for that, and it starts you with a base 50 bonus points because that'll deal with whatever class you pick. And I put in the 800, and then I scrolled down and I put in my social class as lower nobility, which is a drop-down box. So I went from middle class to lower nobility. That's the easiest thing, and that spent 100 points right off the bat. So assuming I pick
Yeah, for me, I'm lower class. That gives me 20 points back. And this will give you, like, residence can give you immunity to certain crimes as you go up. It also, your starting money is affected by it.
So for me on characteristics, I know that intelligence is going to be my primary. So I'm going to go with a 4 there because I want to be really freaking smart with being very sciencey and knowledge-based.
And intelligence, one of the big benefits of that here, all the traits are going to give you their situation modifier when it's appropriate. Intelligence is also going to give you more mental health, the ability to cope with what goes bump in the night, but it's going to reduce the cost of natural philosophy and its specialties, and then humanities, civics, languages, and applied sciences. So every time you rank up one of those, you get that same situation modifier. So you said how big was your int?
4.
So you're going to get 4 points back for each time you rank one of those up, which, like, the rank 3 of them costs 21 normally, and so that would cost you 17. So it's easy to get a lot of points back as you go.
And again, the system here is very similar to Trudvang, which we have a few segments on Trudvang from a few months ago. So you'll recognize a lot of that if you watched our Trudvang segments. So I'm going to go with a 1 charisma because I'm pretty charismatic. I'm going to leave my con, dex, and health at base. I'm going to go with 1 perception because I'm expecting to spend a lot of points outside of my characteristics. So spending 90 in my characteristics is pretty good. What about you,
And
Brandon?
you also popped out 100, so you're almost a quarter of the way through your character just after finishing characteristics.
Exactly. So what about you, Brandon?
For me, I could see doing them a few different ways, but since I'm really that criminal element, the dexterity is going to help cheapen up a few of the skills that I'm looking at, pickpocketing and sneaking. And I definitely think that he can be a little bit quick. Perception, I think, is huge. That's another one that's going to give me some reduction on things that I'm looking at. Um, but instead, and remember, you pick 3. We covered that during our character that you get to modify. I'm going to dump my intelligence. I am going to drop that to a -4 because all those skills that I just listed that are going to be important to Alice are absolutely not what I have any clue about on this character. And that mental health problem that the fact that my mental health hit points basically go down because of that. Well, I've seen some stuff, and it definitely has left the character a bit marred. So I think that also works for him.
Okay, cool.
So
So
I'm 2 dex, 2 perception, and -4 in. So I'm flattened out. So I'm still got 870 points to toss around.
okay. And once again, there was a extra 50 that's added on because that's the 50 bonus assumed for you choosing your class, which we'll be doing soon, which I believe actually we're doing now. So,
Well, I'm now to the social class,
oh
and it's
yes,
archetypes, which I confused earlier. But your
lower
lower
nobility.
nobility. You own a mansion and land to a value of 10,000 ducats. You do not actually have title. You are considered creditworthy, and you have immunity for minor offenses as long as you are not caught in the act. So you can always say, "I didn't do that." For me, as lower class, I am documented in the township, but I have no right to travel or live outside of my hometown without special allowance. That's what you're for.
Mhm.
I have certain rights, but it's generally assumed that I'm going to be guilty of any crime, and probably I was guilty of it. And so that's just the brief little thing. So what you were about to talk about on the archetypes, yeah,
Mhm.
there is this little chart here, which is super quick on each. As you can see on Alice's screen, there's a bunch of different skill categories.
Mhm.
Those 50 bonus points we've talked about, depending on the archetype you're picking, those 50 bonus points have to be spent within that specialty. And so what are you looking at, Alice?
I forget the name of the class, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to take the one that specializes in sciences.
You mean the scientist? I
The
know it's a really
scientist,
hard
cool.
one to remember.
Shh. Yeah, I'm going to go with the scientist.
Scientist. Um, there's fighter. There's not one for agility. Everybody can spend those 50 points in agility if they want. And there's a soldier or something, but I think in the end, stealth is the most important thing for my character, and so malefactor is what I am looking at. Which
Okay.
I love that art. I think that's fantastic.
I did too. I thought that was gorgeous. I almost selected that one just for the portrait of it. I thought it was just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, cool.
And like part of the conception of the character that I have in my mind is from Les Mis,
Mhm.
the innkeeper and his wife. And
Mm.
I am like that kind of class of people. I'm much more able to get into a fight
Mhm.
than they are. But that's kind of the a point of inspiration for me.
Okay, that's really cool. So for me, I'm going to jump straight down to sciences because that's where I'm going to spend my bonus points. So
Sure. So first of all, in each of these, we have skills. We then have disciplines or below skills, and then specialties are within the disciplines. And I've got those kind of highlighted out in groups,
Mhm.
and the skills themselves, like science, are bolded. We have rank 1 in every skill to start with.
Yes, that's an important thing to remember. So all of these are going to default to 1 for free. So for this, I am going to, well, I'm going to be really good at science. So I'm going to go with a 10 science because that's going to cost me 54 because it's going to be very cheap for me compared to other people.
No, science, the skills do not change price.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the like Truvong, just like Truvong. But it's going to be the sub stuff that's going to be super much cheaper. But I'm still going to go with the 10 because a lot of this section is going to be a lot cheaper for me, and I want to make sure that I buy it up. So
it is natural philosophy, and its specialties are going to be reduced in science, Alice, just so you know.
Okay.
And then applied science is a discipline, and that one is reduced, but the specialties are not.
Okay, awesome. So the disciplines of applied sciences and natural philosophy are going to be reduced for me.
Well, natural philosophy and its specialties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
you have some other ones in other trees, but those are the ones from this one.
Okay. So I'm going to start buying some ranks here. I think I'm going to buy some good health, like a little bit of healthcare, but I'm going to buy more in applied sciences and everything else. Yeah. Oops. I don't want 22 in that. I'll fix that.
So when you're going through and making a character, there are a couple of different breakpoints where you're going to want to focus in on to start with, because sitting down and saying, like, I've got 870 points right now, sitting down and saying, oh, I've got that, where do I start? If it's not important to you, maybe leave it at a 1. That's what I'm doing with my science. If it is somewhat important to you, 4, 7, and 10 points in that skill are going to be important. And those are break points for how many points in disciplines and specialties can I get. At 4, I believe you can only get the first one, but it might be 1 and 2 that you get. At 7, you get the next 2. And then at 10, you get the last 1 or the last 2. And let me go look at that real quick.
Yeah. I think I'm going to keep a lot of them low because as it is, it's going to be expensive just to get all of them right now. And, if I decide to go back and adjust, I can adjust. So right now, I have 410 points left. Points go away really fast. 800 sounded like a lot. 850 sounded like more because you get the extra 50. But whoo, they go out the door. And 800 is someone who is experienced, by the way. It's not a first-level character in D&D. This would be someone that's between 5th and 8th level in D&D. So, yeah, I started with the sciences. What are you going to start with?
Oh, I figured I was just going to follow you. I spend nothing in science. I'm done.
Okay.
I don't need that fancy book learning.
Well, then let's go up to agility. I'm going to spend nothing in agility. Well, wait, let me see. Maybe. I think agility might be useful. I think I should spend a little in agility. What does agility do again?
Agility skill is used whenever a character boards a ship, races somebody on horseback, throws themselves out of the way of the marquise, 4 in hand, or climbs over the wall of said marquise estate to acquire some fines.
Okay, so let's hit that first benchmark. 3 is the first benchmark on it, right?
4.
4.
4 gives you access to 1 point in disciplines or specialties. 7 gives you 2 and 3, and 10 gives you 4 and 5.
I'm gonna go with 3 right now. And if I have points, I'll up it later. So
I'd say if you're only going to 3, don't go to any and then come back to it.
Okay, let's go and skip this right now.
So for me, for agility, I think that it's going to be somewhat important. And for body control, is the discipline develops character's ability to push their body to its limits, evading, climbing, or landing softly. That sounds like it's reasonably important to me. So I'm going to get my 3 ranks in that discipline. The other stuff isn't screaming out to me. Maybe I should move here. Body control 1, parkour 2, evade 1. Let's try that. Horsemanship, I don't think I've, maybe I've ridden some horse in the military. It's not super important. Water, no. Bathing's awful.
Oh dear. Okay. Bathing is awful. Apparently I have a stinky cohort. Okay. So, since you're done with agility, I'm going to be definitely spending in esotericism. Esotericism. There we go.
Esotericism?
No, esotericism. There we go. Esotericism. The reason why I want to spend in that is because, like I said, I want to be really dealing with the bump in the night. So I'm definitely going up to that second benchmark of 7 for this one to start with.
I'm buying that same point as you.
Okay.
7.
Cool. So, corium, what is that? I'm assuming I need it based on everything that's underneath it, but I should definitely ask what that is.
So, expands a character's familiarity with the occult, with occult societies, communities, and orders, such as their purpose, history, beliefs, and symbols. It's knowledge of occult stuffs.
Oh, okay. So yes, I want 1 point of discipline in that and a little bit in the below. So I've spent 2 in esoteric symbolism and 3 in occult literature.
Now, esoteric symbolism, let me look that one up. Nope, that is not one that you need to choose anything else on.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are choice ones that you
Okay.
gotta pick them, so.
And for divination, I'm going to take some divination, take some numerology. Why are there 2 seers on this sheet?
Can you read tarot? Can you look at the stars? What are you doing
Okay.
to be a seer?
So I'm going to be seer, and it's going to be tea leaf reading.
So the character has specialized in a specific kind of interpretation, astrology or tarot, for example. The specialty enhances the character's knowledge of esoteric divination to read potential future events, as well as to understand the past.
So for your spreadsheet, am I able to add that specialty without damaging the
Just
fields?
type over the word seer.
Okay, cool. It will not mess it up. So seer,
No.
so tea leaf reader. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to choose to be a tea leaf reader. I've dabbled in tea leaf reading. And I'm going to go with 1 in supernatural beings. And I'm just going to go, and all of these seem like I would know something about a little bit. And white.
And I know that it's a little odd for us that Alice is asking me on this. We don't have a PDF. We only have our hard copy. So
yeah.
It's in one room. So
yep. Normally I have my
out.
book as well. I don't have my secondary book. I guess we do need 2 copies of books, Brandon.
Or the PDFs as well.
Or the PDFs as well. We'll get the PDFs at some point. So I'm going to put 1 in each of the ones that follow that. So bestiology, the LH path, black magic, medicina mentis, sinistra, RH path, medicina mentis.
It's the right-handed and the left-handed paths.
Yeah, dextera and white magic. So for the black magic, I understand it, but I won't be a practitioner of it. White magic might be something I actually dabble in. We'll see, whether I'm actually effective or not. It's unlikely to be effective, but it would be that I am a white magic dabbler, but I wouldn't touch black magic except for understanding the other side.
And something to remember, you aren't actually a practitioner or not an effective practitioner.
Yeah,
is the important thing.
We're not going to be like in D&D where I say I'm a practitioner and I can throw magic missiles or fireballs. In this, I can say I'm a practitioner and I can understand sympathy and contagion. I can understand the concepts. I can understand taking the string and doing the 3-round binding, stuff like that. But whether it actually does anything is unlikely. But I understand the concept of it. But I am not a witch.
Yeah, it's more like in popular media these days, I might think the Winchester brothers.
Yes.
That they know salt and such is going to keep the ward of the house, but they don't necessarily can't go out and do spells. Later on in seasons, I know they start
doing spells because of other stuff. Yeah. But again, in later seasons, as you get high enough, you can start doing that same wacky stuff because you've learned from supernatural sources and dealt with enough bump in the nights. Right now, we haven't. It's supposed to be basically very a lot to do in order to get that. So what about you in esotericism?
So I'm starting at that same 7. I went with 1 for the De Sotolocorum. Just a little bit of basis, a little bit more knowledge, and then 2 supernatural beings and 2 bestiology. And that's one of the reasons I think that I might be useful to you, is that I have seen some of that stuff that goes bump in the night.
You've seen the hellhounds in the night and such like that.
Yeah, I'm really looking at investing more there, but I don't want to spend too much too early.
Yeah,
it's easier to add on than it is to cut back once you've got it on your sheet.
Yeah, I get that. I'm kind of being greedy because there are certain paths that I just want a lot in based on the concept I'm going for. But that's why I'm skipping some of the sections for the moment. So the next section is going to be stealth. I definitely want some stealth because I am not going to be great at fighting. I am not going to be a swordsman or going to be a sharpshooter. So I want to be able to avoid stuff. I'm going to go with 4 stealth, because that, as we established, is the first benchmark. And I'm going to definitely take 1 in avoidance. And we might end up deciding I need to take more. We'll see.
Well, avoidance isn't. That's evade is going to be the one that gets you out of a fight. Avoidance is not being seen.
Yeah, avoidance is basically tailing someone without being seen. Avoidance is basically I'm hiding in the alleyway around the corner, but and basically knowing how many car lengths to follow someone, stuff like that. But again,
what's a car?
Well, no, I mean this. Okay, fine. How many carts? How many cart lengths? How about that?
Oh, okay.
How many wagon lengths? How many carriage lengths? But detection, So I'm going to put a little in detection.
And you bought perception, and detection is one of the main things that perception helps with. Is it cheapens that stuff up?
Mm-hmm.
And now on the sheet, and they're probably seeing this on your screen, I do have an area that shows you what your savings is as you buy things.
So here you guys can see there's characteristics that I've paid 90, skills I've paid 90 into so far, and it continues down.
And that skills is going to be the bolded lines.
And actually, there is no section that shows the savings.
Keep going below character points.
Below character points. Charisma savings, dex savings, int savings, perception savings. Cool. There you go.
So, what's your int savings right now?
My int savings is 56 points. I've saved 56.
You paid 4 points for that intelligence of yours, effectively.
Yep. It's fantastic. It's awesome. This is why what you want to dump into things that are good for you. So going back,
not all of them give you point reductions. That's just the 4 that do.
So I'm not looking at really being a rogue. So I'm just gonna skip the hide and camo and sneaking and such like that. But I like the idea of being good at detecting something. So I'm gonna put 1 in each of them. So that's where I'm gonna go with detection, detect hidden, lip reader, and observation. So I'm a little bit stealthy, therefore I'm not gonna necessarily get myself in a fight by being caught. Hopefully, we'll see about that. I'm not an ace rogue or anything like that. What about you, Brandon, for stealth?
7 points in stealth, 3 avoidance, which, like I said, is not being seen. That's going to bring that stealth roll up to a 10 or less on a d20 for me. 1 to disguises. I know how to look like somebody else or help someone else do that. 2 for hide and camo. And hide and camo. Let me look at this. The character can hide themselves, someone else, or a stationary object. It goes on to talk about it. But basically, it's concealment. It's stashing something. 3 points in sneaking. I definitely want to be able to move around and not be seen. And so that's going to help me bring that up to, I think it's a 16 or less to hide. Veiled Strike is kind of like sneak attack in D&D. I put 2 in that. Just that if I run into trouble, I'm willing to drop somebody if it needs to be. Detection, detect hidden, lip reader, observation, all those perception-based ones, I went for 3 in. That's the reason I bought a perception at 2. And if you're going to hide, you need to be able to notice what's going on about you, or else you're going to get caught no matter how well you hide. Somebody's going to keep eyes on you, and they're going to think I'm guilty because I'm poor. For that last discipline and its specialty, sleight of hand is 3. That's going to be important. Arming and disarming traps is 2. I'm good at it, but maybe not as good as some of the other stuff. Concealing, keeping something hidden on my person is 2. Lock picking, getting through the hidden doors is 2. Pickpocketing, 3. I want that pretty high up there to be able to get stuff off of people, even though I might insist that I'm not that kind of person. I'm much higher class than that. And thief signs is 2. So I just dumped in, it's 27 points for my stealth skill, and then let me look over here. 469 points went over to the disciplines and specialties in stealth. I got some refunds on that, but my perception savings is only 24, so it's not that much of a refund. That is where my character is supposed to be.
Okay.
Where are we heading to next?
Well, let's go scroll back over here, and let's go to culture next. So in culture, well, I definitely need culture because I'm nobility. I'm wealthy and I became noble. So let's go with 7 on that second benchmark. Let's go with 1 in civics. I have a basic understanding of that. I'm not gonna do any administration, bribery, economic. Yeah, those. I'm gonna skip
Yeah.
down to humanities. And
so this is culture is all the theoretical knowledge about either humanities, that stuff, or how to make culture run, how to
mhm.
keep a government going.
And you'll notice, by the way, that as I'm leveling here, you want to watch over here in int savings, because humanities, I am getting a little bit of return on. So on my int. So I took a humanities in 1 in each, and I popped my savings up to 64 in int based stuff, which is pretty good. But I'm going to take 1 in archaeology, 1 in history, 1 in literature and arts, and 1 in philosophy. Because, again, noblewoman. I wasn't a barrister or anything like that, so I don't need any of the political stuff. Just some
Well,
basic understanding of it.
so humanities is going to cover each of those. It's not going to give you as big of a return. Disciplines generally give you a +1 to your skill value, where
What?
specialties give you a +2.
+2.
Now, humanities you save on, but the ones below it you don't.
Yeah, I know.
So,
But I think having
you
the
just
+2 on each of those might be handy.
yeah, but you burn 28 points there to do that.
Okay.
If you brought your humanities to level 3, that's going to cost you 42 total, but you're going to have knocked 4 points off each time. So that's going to be 12 savings. That means 30 points is going to have been spent. And that 28 doesn't even count for the initial price of humanities.
That's fair. That's true. So yeah.
And you've literally gotten the same thing, but you've saved points. So
That's true.
if you're wanting that, I might think get the cheap way.
And just show people the math on that. See, that puts me down to 121 left. But Brandon had a very good point, because he's got the book in hand and I don't right now. And
I also designed the sheet, so I know the cost savings a little bit.
that's true. He does know it a little better than I do. But going to Humanities 3, I save 1 point. I get 1 point back. So I'm definitely taking it that way. Thank you for pointing that out, Brandon, because I get 1 point back. Instead of 121, I'm at 122.
And this should have you at the exact the exact same skill value for like archaeology, history, literature, and philosophy.
Yes.
But your skill value would be higher for something that's humanities, but might not fall within those 4 categories.
Yeah, it's actually going to help me in the long run, because again, 3 versus 3 is going to be 1 for 1 versus the 1 and 1 in each would be 1 and then 2, for each of those. So this definitely nets me much better in the long run. So that's where I'm spending in culture. What about you? Are you spending anything in culture?
I have no theoretical knowledge of culture.
Okay.
I'm not who you'd want to run anything.
Okay. So you have no culture within you.
Understood. No, because, and remember, that's because that's book learning. That's how you run things, stuff like that. The culture of talking to people and such, that's actually communication. The culture of, entertaining people is entertainment. I also don't have entertainment, but.
Well, let's go down to fighting next. Fighting is something that I'm sure you have plenty to talk about.
It's nowhere near the investment that stealth is, but yeah, I am going to be doing some of this. Fighting 7 points. That's that second benchmark. So therefore, I can get rank 2 into my disciplines and specialties, which I don't think I'm going to go beyond those. It can get pretty expensive. There is some dex savings in fighting with ranged weapons. Battle experience 1, that is just kind of overall. It increases my pool during a fight, my total skill value. Battle actions of 1, battle reactions of 1. Those are pretty cheap. 7 for a +2 SV each in their specific arenas. And then I want to be able to fight up close and personal, especially with that veiled strike that I've got. But I also want to be able to fight at range, which is much more preferable while running away if needed. And so 2 points close combat weapons, 2 points in one-handed left weapons. You have to buy your left hand versus your right hand separately. and I'm left-handed, so I buy left-handed. 2 points in that ranged weapons and 2 points in left-handed pistols. So my fighting, I spend 27 on the skill itself, and then 105. That's a quarter of what I spent in stealth.
Ooh.
Maybe my stealth needs to come down, but those are the numbers I'm working with.
I'm going to be skipping fighting for the moment. I'll probably splash a little in there just because I need to be able to pick up a weapon. But right now, that's going to be a skip. So for me, that's going to be a skip. So let's go. We just covered stealth. Let's go to theology. Theology.
Sure, I'm quick and simple. I've got 3 points in theology at the moment. I want just a little knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to shave a point off later on, it's probably coming from there first.
Okay. I'm going to take just a plain straight up 4 in theology because I want some basic understanding of the realm given everything that I'm dealing with. And so I'm going to hit that one benchmark of 4 and then I'm going to stop there.
Are you buying anything under it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So you and I are kind of the same theory that I don't want to be totally ignorant of it, but I don't think I'm going to have points to really spend in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, I've got 113 points left, and I still need to go back to agility and fighting a little bit. So let's go down to communication. I'm going to be spending some in communication. I'm going to be spending 7 in communication, and I'm going to be spending 2 in etiquette, because I need to have a little etiquette. And I'm going to spend, let's see,
So social interaction is going to be based off of class. Vogue will also be based off of class.
Well, I have low nobility. So what can I pick for social interactions on for specialties? What's the list?
It's lower class, nobility, and high nobility, I believe. I'm looking for communication, which I am past.
Okay, so for me, I would take 1 in low nobility. So social interaction, low nobility, because I understand how to handle low nobility. I'm going to take 1 in that. That sounds good.
Upper class, middle class, lower class. Sorry. So
upper
you
class.
can choose upper class or middle class.
I'm going to choose upper class.
Really?
No, I'm going to choose middle class.
Because that sounded more like you dealt with things in the upper class that you were much more middle class. You're working for science and all.
Yeah, so I'm going to be middle class. That sounds good. I'm going to skip the rest at that point because I'm running low on points. We have 61 points left for me. What about you in communication?
After communications, I'm going to be at 90, so I'm trailing just a little bit behind you. Communication, I went with 5 points in, and I want to be reasonable at it. Etiquette, 1 point. Social interaction with the lower class for 1 point. That would bring my SV up to an 8 on anything social interactions, and then Vogue 1 in for lower class as well. Same skill value of that 8. Then I went with 1 rhetoric, 1 bartering, and 1 persuasion.
Ooh, nice.
That I am able to talk a little bit. Not well. The bulk of my character went into stealth. We'll see if that stays. These are definitely things that I could see upping, but you got to make cuts. So we'll see. Why don't we drop down to entertainment? Because based on the way my sheet lines up, we're kind of very lopsided at the moment.
Yeah. So entertainment sounds good. I was raised a lady, a proper lady. So I should definitely have some skill in entertainment because I would know how to dance. I would know. So I don't get any additional discounts here, so I'm definitely going to just take 1 in dancing. What kind of dancing are my listed options? Because I can take different types.
Flipping.
But I should definitely have some understanding of dancing since I am a proper lady. And I should definitely have something in music because I'm a proper lady. And
they don't give you examples of these specializations in dancing. But they ask you to specify.
Okay, I'm gonna go with ballet. Actually, I'm gonna go with court dancing, I guess is what it's called. I don't know. Basically, couples dancing in high-end parties. That's what I'm gonna do. For play instrument, I'm going to play the piano. Yeah, I'm gonna play piano.
So entertainment, I'm skipping, even though I'm really interested in gambling, cheating, and illicit gaming. But I'm just because I'm looking at my points and I'm like, ooh, they are getting tight. But I might come back for some of that.
Okay. I'm going to take us over to professions next. Are you taking any professions?
Not a one.
Okay. At the
Um,
moment, I'm not going to take any either because I'm concerned about my points.
yeah, it's just, I mean, like I'm terrible at professions. I don't like that idea, but it's animal stuff. It's making stuff. Forgery was somewhat interesting to me, but I figure you can know somebody for that. And it's hunting
Yeah.
or fishing. None of that really screamed my character. So
Yeah. Crafting may be for me, but we'll see. For me, at this point, let's jump over to well-traveled. I definitely am going to take well-traveled. And so for that, once again, I'm going to hit that benchmark. I think I have enough points for that benchmark. So I'm going to hit the benchmark of 4. And for social studies, I'm going to take 1. What about you?
7 points, well traveled. Even though it's kind of odd because like I made my journeys around while I was a soldier, I guess. But I definitely want to be, even though I'm not buying in because my points are getting leaner and leaner.
Oh, right.
Um,
Getting scary.
but social studies 1. Geography, you have to pick things, and I'm kind of tempted to grab one of Europe, but I want a knowledge of a place, and that would be this place,
Okay.
wherever we're going to be. So like Paris or something like that. And then power sphere, I'm buying in 2 different ways. One would probably be power sphere with the malefactors, which are going to be, people, and I forget the specific names. We'll see that in just a minute here. But people who are the ne'er do wells like me, and then probably the other one with fighting people, fighting. I saw combatants is what the archetype is called.
And you'll see that I'm going back through my character sheet right now, and in agility and fighting and professions, I'm putting a 1 in those because once again, all those categories, all those starting bolded ones, will start with at 1 rank. And I'm just doing that just to remind myself I've got something in that for free right now because I have 9 points left to spend, and I need to figure out where I'm throwing those 9 points. What about you, Brandon? Where are you looking?
35 points. So I
Well,
am
rich,
thinking.
rich, rich.
Oh yeah, that'll disappear in no freaking time. Um, I really want some more of that esotericism with supernatural beings, bestiology, but those are just going to destroy those points by taking a single pump in that. And so let me go back to entertainment, bring that up to 4, which takes me to 26 points, and then gambling 1, cheating 1, 12 points, illicit games 1, 5 points.
Okay. I am going to say that I'm not going to take anything in agility. I'm not going to take anything in fighting. Those just are not skills that I'm good at. I have to just suck that up. Professions I'm going to skip. Um I'm trying to figure out where to put those last 9 points. And the truth is I'm tempted to be putting them in languages because I think that since I start with English, I think that I want to put some points in that um, for French. That I would take French. So foreign language of French, because I am now in France, and I think I would want maybe and that puts me at -1 point. So I am a point short of being
You
able
have
to pull
3
this off.
points in theology. I think there was another one. Maybe you changed it. Did you end up putting anything in agility to start with?
0 in agility.
So just 1.
Yeah, 1 in
All
agility.
right.
So at that point, French is not going to be on the menu for me, I'm afraid. I am going to have 1 in language. But you know what? Uh,
Let me look because I was looking for this earlier. But I did not look under the specific skill because in Trudvang it was somewhere else. So,
What
but
skill
you
are you
got
talking about?
some free language.
Okay, so let's look at that. And at this point, with only 9 points left, I want to try and go and find one of my skills that I have high discounts in, probably, and drop it there, because that's a pretty odd point. So, I think that I might take a little bit more in... I forget, do I get any discounts in divination for my int?
Nope.
Okay. What are the int ones? It's not flagged here. That's something that should probably be on the character sheet, is what the stats
Yeah,
are.
I was thinking about putting a little note where it says int savings, and then you could mouse over and see. I guess I could also
In parentheses on agility, put it there or something.
you're asking about intelligence,
Yes, intelligence
psych,
skills.
health, intelligence, natural philosophy and its specialties,
Okay.
humanities, civics, language, and applied science.
So I do get a discount for language. So I'll put 1 in language, which leaves me at 6 points at the first rank.
So I found the answer, and it is under the native language.
Okay.
Because you are low nobility, and the sheet will not reflect this at this time, but I can easily adjust that later.
Mm-hmm.
Since you are low nobility, you get a rank 3 in your native language to start with.
Oh, nice.
Since I am low class, I get a rank 2 in my native language.
Okay. So rank 3 in English. English at rank 3.
And illiteracy is the default.
Okay. So I'm gonna have
now
a rank
you
3.
probably are going to need to free up some points to get literacy.
Yeah, read, write, native language. So what's the difference here between native language and language? There's a native language here.
Yes. Native language is what you got free. You
okay.
know English. Because
Okay.
that was your native language.
Cool. So English at 3. And let's see, I need to free up some points to put into read and write so that I am literate.
Well, your point shuffling will probably take a little bit unless you got a quick idea on it.
Well, I think that... Well, why don't you start point shuffling and talking, and I will try and figure that out right now.
I'm out. I'm done.
You're out. Okay.
Those 5 points, I hadn't marked my theology level of 3 down on my sheet. My 5 points got eaten up. I'm at 0.
You're at 0, exactly. Okay. I think that I will shuffle off of... So in sciences, what am I getting? So humanities. In sciences, natural philosophy, I get a discount, right?
Scrolling back. By scrolling, that means page flipping.
Page flipping back?
Natural philosophies and its specialties cost 4 less for you per rank.
Okay. So, wow, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, the first rank in any of those costs 3 points. The second rank costs 10, so 13, and you've improved your SV by a lot.
Yeah, I have. But I think I have to shuffle some off of that. So biology, chemistry, geology, mathematics, physics, transmutation, and alchemy. So I think I'm gonna lower my biology to 1. That frees me up 10 points. I'm up to 16 points, and that at that point will let me buy my read write at 1 for English, and then read and write for English, and I think I'm going to read and write French as well. And that is going to leave me at 2 points. I think I'm going to be good there because I don't think I'm going to get any better than that, to be very honest with you. So I spent I've spent 798 points instead. Or sorry, yeah, 798 plus my 50. So
Okay, well then, if you've got 2 points left over, up your agility to 2, or up your
Yeah.
fighting to 2,
I think I'm
or
gonna
your
up my fighting
professions
to
to
2.
2.
That's true. That only costs 2. Fighting to 2. I'm done. Beautiful.
Okay,
Exactly 0.
so now let's move on, and let me get back to. Oh, we picked our archetypes, so then we have to choose a power sphere that we're going to be good at, and I also have to pick two power spheres for what I know about. So I'm going to know about lawless and military. Maybe I should do lawless and occult. Anyways, and I am known most in military power sphere.
Okay.
That I am retired, but I think that I'll be more known in military. And this doesn't really. I'm not honestly certain of the reason that you make this choice right now, because you don't get any points. You're not known in that sphere. That's just kind of the first one that's activated. But if you go and do something for the scientific community first, that would be the reputation that gets leveled up. So, Alice, the power sphere that you could be known for, scientific, is that what we're going with?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Scientific.
Then, flipping back to that thing, traits, class, archetype, skill values and specialties, power sphere. Then we have to calculate secondary traits, describe our history, and equip. And we're not going to do equip because counting coppers is not a whole lot of fun.
Right.
But oh yeah, we did do that part as well. Our secondary traits in a different spot. So first of all, there we go. We have fate, so we have to grab a D3, roll it, and add 1.
Okay. Fate by D3.
And so I rolled D3s, just as a little heads up to people, differently, and it's because of oh my god, I can't think of the name. Pachisa. And so whenever you'd roll doubles, like if you roll double 4s, that would be 7s, because on the other side is a 3, and so you'd get like 14 total. I think it was. It's been years since I played, but so I was always in the habit of you flip that over, and so I knew that a 6 has got a 1 on the other side, and so that's the way I roll mine D3s. If I roll a 6, I actually claim a 1. So I rolled a 4, so I've got a 3. So I have 4 fate points.
Okay.
Which is pretty sweet.
I cut mine in half because I'm using these D6s that are also D12s. So if I flip them over, 5 flipping over is actually the other 5. So I would just cut them in half.
Gotcha.
So I don't need to cut mine in half because, 1 to 3. So 3 is what I got, plus what?
Plus 1.
Plus 1. So I have 4 fate.
Okay. Our movement, we start out at 10 meters.
Okay. Movement.
And then we go ahead for every, we add our dexterity. I have a 2 dex, so I'm at 12 meters. Okay. And then for every level of body control, we add another meter on. So body control, I am at 3, so I have got a 15-meter movement. Are you at 10? You picked your dominant hand, and so I am left-handed. We talked about that earlier.
I'm also going to be left-handed because in real life, I'm also left-handed.
Persistence in the wild. This is under favorable conditions, how long you can last. So we start at 10 days is what we start. Mm-hmm. During favorable conditions, levels of survival and levels of traveling add on to that. So
I have 4 travel, so that's going to be 14 for me.
You have 4 traveling?
Yeah, sorry. 4
not well-traveled. Traveling.
Nope, I have none.
That's what I thought. So we're both at 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
For health points, we start at 32 physical and 32 mental. And these are modified by Constitution and Health. Neither one of us bought Constitution or Health, so we've got 32 health points. And then our mental health points are modified by Psych and Int. And so your mental health is going to go up from 32 to 36, and mine is going to go down to 28 because I bought a negative intelligence.
Okay, so 32 and
36 mental health.
36, thank you. I have 36 mental health. Awesome.
And those are going to be the figured characteristics. Our starting funds are going to be based off of what our archetype is. And so you are a scientist, so you get 400 ducats. You're low nobility, so you multiply that by 1.5, so you have 600 ducats
I'm
to
rich.
start with.
Cool. I'll pick out a few
And
things.
for me, as a combatant, I get 300 ducats, and then I go and multiply that by 0.75 for lower class, so 225 ducats.
Awesome. Well,
And that's pretty much it.
easy peasy, guys. The hardest part is doing a little bit of math, which an easy spreadsheet will do that for you. So I hope you enjoyed this and stay tuned for our actual play. I'm looking forward to playing.
LexOccultum.
Hey Blades! Thank you so much for watching another Babies with Knives video. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and come join the conversation in our Discord server.
If you want to keep content like this coming, come check out our Patreon and consider subscribing. All links for this is provided in the description below. And remember, come back next time to get honed!